Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions 4 p.m. BST. Yael Kabeli is back in the studio. Well, not in my studio, but in a home studio. How are we doing, Yael? Everything okay?
Everything's great. How are you?
Yeah, good. Do you want to give the audience a little bit of background yourself while I'll share to the groups?
Sure, of course. So I'm a U.S. attorney. I'm also an attorney in Israel. I am originally a trademark attorney. I've been working with Amazon sellers since 2015. We represent around 4,000 sellers over the world with trademark issues, copyrights, patents, and suspensions related to IP or other legal issues. I'm also co-founder of Fortinet, an investment banking firm dealing with the sale of Amazon businesses.
Excellent. Okay, so what are we going to be talking about today? Do you want to give us a quick synopsis? There's five key mistakes a lot of Amazon sellers do pertaining to legal requirements on Amazon. So without further ado, which is the first one I'm going to kick off with?
So we're going to start with trademark search because I think that's the most common, and I'm trying to say it as much as possible. And I want to be heard so that people won't do the mistakes. So trademark search, I'll show you the scenario that we see in about 30% of the cases.
Yeah.
You choose a brand, you do a quick search on the Google and USPTO yourself, and then you go ahead and you manufacture the product. It reaches Amazon, and then you go to your trademark lawyer and you say, okay, go ahead, I want to trademark that trademark. But then your trademark lawyer does a search and then tells you, listen, I'm sorry, but the chances of success here are like 30%. So you won't get a trademark on that. And then you're like, oh no, now I need to rebrand my product. I've been selling that I launched it, 2 months ago. I've been selling that. What do I do now? Can I change the brand on my listing? And the answer is no. Amazon does not allow you anymore to change the brand on the listing. That's not allowed. So you're supposed to open a new listing and start all over again just because the search wasn't right at the first place. So this is something that we see a lot. Most of the sellers think they can do a search, but they don't do a broad search. For example, if my brand is Bemgo, okay, and I sell bottles, and then you registered the brand for Benga, also selling bottles or things related to bottles, I will not be able to register the brand. And now most of the trademark sellers, when they do the search, they search only for Bemgo, not Bemga or things that are similar. So they miss it. So the bottom line, two things. First of all, do the search before you choose the name, before you manufacture the product. At the beginning, when you think of a name, take 1 or 2 names, go to your lawyer and do a trademark search. Many lawyers take that off the cost of the trademark. For example, we include it in our fee. So if you pay it now, we retract it later. It's extremely important to do it at the beginning and not after.
Can I unpack this a bit, just from a point of view? Let's just say you're in the US, takes outside of accelerated, of course. It could take up to 8 months to get a US trademark. So scenario 1, you've got a seller who is working on what products he wants to launch. He's found a factory, or she's found a factory. They're going through, they're looking, does the factory be able to carry up to 2 or 3 of these products? They're still isolating which ones they want to launch, but they're also in the back of their mind go, well, I've got to get a brand registry sorted for this brand, and I've got an 8-month lead or an accelerated route I've got to go to. Let me do a quick search. So you can see the mindset of why someone would do that, because they're juggling. They're like, okay, I can't leave it to the end because when I launch, I won't have brand registry, and I, encounter problems there and things like that. So are you saying, which is like a kind of a pre-post model, is that you're sometimes better going, okay, I don't want to lay out all for the trademark right at this moment because I don't know where I am with stuff. But you can pay someone in lieu a smaller tranche payment so they can do that basic bit, and like, you know, that if that turns up well, you carry on your journey. You haven't had the full exposure for paying for the full trademark. And that once the searches are done, you've only, if it is a waste of money, it's a smaller proportion of the overall fee. Therefore, do that and then go back to your trademarking person later when you are ready. And then that comes off the total balance of the original invoice.
You got it exactly right. My model, and I say that to all of my clients, and that's why I retract it later from the fee. It's just $150. Most of the attorneys, that's the fee, $150. So go ahead and do a search right at the beginning when you're planning. You know what the name will be. You're still planning the product. You need to tell the lawyer what the product will be, because the search is around that particular category. So you need to know the products. But you don't need to go ahead and register. Do that later. Today we have the accelerator, and there's also, by the way, there's also an amazing thing now. It's on beta mode. It's still, it's still not in full capacity, but we think it's going to be. Amazon is trying a new kind of trial where you file for a pending trademark, not under the accelerator, and you get the brand registry. About 10 of our clients that were not under the accelerator file it. I can put the link here later if you want. And they got the brand registry, although the trademark just started a month ago, no accelerator. So just that's by the way. But what I'm saying is, in any case, you chose a brand, go ahead and do a search and do the trademark later. Don't worry about it. You can do it once you start. You just want to know that you can trademark it later and you won't have to rebrand.
Yeah, but we understand why people do that now. But the solution now is instead of having to cough up the full amount because you don't know where you're going to go with this brand, and you're worried about the 8 months lead time outside of Accelerate and outside of the pending trademark that is running through the new beta program, the solution is a part payment, get the searches done, etc. Some quick hellos. Good afternoon. Back for more knowledge bombs. That is side B. Sharon says Yao is number one. You got a big fan there. Good morning, Tiff. I hope you are well. Herb is here. I've been waiting for my trademark to complete for 9 months. I have received a notice of allowance in May. Will Amazon accept my application for brand registry before the certificate arrives?
So generally no, but right now, as I said, there's the beta program. I'm going to send it to you and try it. Right now it's working. We're hoping it's going to stay, and we're actually hoping, usually when Amazon starts with some kind of preparation program or beta program, then they actually do it. Until now, they've been doing it and continuing with it. So we hope it's going to stay, and we hope it means that pending trademark will get into the brand registry. That will be amazing. Please, Amazon.
Yes. Cool. Sharon comes back with the beta she's speaking about. Who's she? The cat's mother. The beta she's speaking about will only work for the USA and India, and it must be a USA pending TM or an Indian PM. That's good to know.
True. Not in the UK. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got some clarity there, because in case people want to go down that route. So number one's covered. What do we have for number two?
So lately I see a lot of mistakes around variation, use of variations on your listings. So it's called variation misuse. I have a lot of clients and large private labels. We have a huge private label client that was suspended last week entirely, the entire account, because he played too much with variations. So there's one rule that you need to remember, and many are doing mistakes around that. So we know that the variation, one that is allowed is number, the second is size, and the third is color. Okay, number, size, and color, these are the ones that are allowed. Where do people make mistakes? So one of the most common mistake is a pattern. Okay, so if, for example, you have this blue bottle, and then you have a green one, and then you have a yellow one, but then you have one with like a pattern of zebra. Okay, that one cannot be a variation. It is a pattern, and a pattern cannot be a variation. And many people are, they receive a warning around it, and then they ask Amazon. and then the seller support tells them, oh, it's fine, you can go ahead. And then they continue and they get notices and they don't understand, and then they're suspended. So be careful around that. It's something that we see a lot, and variation is on Amazon radar lately. So you wouldn't want to play with that. So just, one warning is fine if you had a problem. 2 warnings is probably fine. Probably up to 10 is still fine if you're a big seller. But at some point, you're going to be kicked out. And then getting back for a variation misuse is obviously doable, but it can take 2 weeks, and you know what it means. So that's a common.
Some people, that's going to be a lot of money when it's account wide. So
yeah, imagine 2 weeks. And by the way, speaking of pattern, another mistake, and I think I said it at the Branded by Women conference. One mistake that I also see a lot around pattern is copying a pattern. And so many people think if I copy your paper plate, okay, you have a paper plate with a dog on it, and I will copy it. Most people think that if you didn't register that and you don't have copyrights for that, dog or graphic design of the dog, then I can use it, right? I mean, if my supplier says it's fine, then it's probably fine. So it's one of the most common mistakes. Do not ever, never, ever use someone else's pattern or graphic design. Okay, remember, it's protected from the moment they produced it. So that dog, you can do a similar dog, but you cannot. You can do another dog, but you cannot use that particular dog.
Cool. I've got some more questions and stuff. But first things first, hello to Alan. Says, hi, Danny and Yao. And then we've got a series of questions that's just been dropped in. So, Elliot, I'm based in the UK. I applied for a trademark back in May, currently in the opposition period, and my trademark should be completed by the end of July. Then I'll apply for brand registry. Or can I do it before if I receive my trademark certificate?
No, so you can only do it when you received your trademark certificate, unfortunately. But end of July, we have like 8 days, so you're going to be fine.
Yeah. Navin says, I understand you mentioned to do a search, going back to the YouTube POS. You mean, is that knockout a search or comprehensive trademark search? And I think
so. It depends. So it's a good question. Many lawyers have different definitions of what a comprehensive search is and a knockout search. Knockout search, I believe, in my opinion, it's a stupid search that you could do. Okay, going on the USPTO and just typing the trademark, that's a knockout search. A comprehensive search is a search where your lawyer spends about an hour or 2 going, trying all different variations of that name, BAM-Go, BAM-Ga, everything that starts with BAM, everything that starts with M or whatever, just around it to try and see if there are other similar trademarks, because the law talks about confusingly similar. Okay, if the trademark is confusingly similar, you will not get yours. So you need to make sure that it's not, it's not a quick search just to make sure that the exact trademark is not there. You need to cover all the trademarks.
Yeah, Tiffany's back here again with a question. This is so relevant. Can we have a variation listing with a bundle and a multi-pack, like a 2-pack of socks on the same listing as the sock with the hat?
So bundles are a problem. You need to be careful with bundles. There's one rule that you need to remember about bundles, is that you can sell 2 products together if the manufacturer or the owner of the brand sells it together. I'll give you an example. If you're selling there's a perfume of Chanel and there's a perfume of Dolce & Gabbana, okay? You cannot sell them together if the owners of the brand don't sell them together. If it's something that is not sold together in the shops, and if the brands haven't worked together, you cannot take 2 products and bundle them. That's not allowed. So be careful with that. That's really a problem. A multi-pack also. Think of the Coca-Cola. Okay, you have you have the pack of 6 bottles that exists, right? The Coca-Cola sells it. One, it exists, right? They sell it, but there's no pack of 3. That doesn't exist. You cannot sell on Amazon a pack of 3 Coca-Colas. You will be suspended. I know people who were suspended and lost hundreds of thousands of dollars for that, just for that.
Cool. Justin, going back to these variations and what that constitutes here is, what about 2 different types of wood?
That's also not allowed. That's also not allowed. Basically, what they tell you, Amazon, is whatever requires an explanation on the listing is probably not a legal variation. So, for example, if you have the green bottle and the red one, there's no need to explain it, right? The buyer would just change the color on the listing, and that's it. There's no need for explanation. If it's a different wood, it's probably not allowed. Like 99%, it's not allowed.
So you've got to read between the lines in there. In terms of the TOS, it can be quite vague, can't it? So it depends if you're going to enforce or not enforce, or of course that other people will report the listing as well, which leads into more issues because you get shot in the face first and ask questions later. Mian says, hi Danny, I'm planning a TM Amazon store logo and 3 brand names. Can I register these logos? Can I do it in one application, or have to file a separate applications for each?
You need 3 separate applications. In trademarks in general, you cannot include more than one name. A trademark can be a logo. It can be just the name. It's called the word mark. It can be, by the way, it can be a color. Did you know a color can be a trademark? Like Tiffany blue, the blue is registered as a trademark. There are very few trademarks for colors, maybe 100 or 200. We managed to register one last year, which was very exciting. But these are, usually you don't see them.
Talking about Tiffany blue, Tiff's back again. Is camouflage considered as a pattern? Yes, it is. Navin again, are you available as IP accelerator program, law firm, a vendor? That's a yes.
We haven't associated the program, so we filed through the program.
Cool. Alan is asked, am I correct to presume that stock images are purchased from Start2Shock? Start2Shock is also an extended license. Can I use these commercially? Yes, you can, from my understanding, but under their commercial rules. And sometimes you've got to look at those because it might be on a unit, not just usage basis. So you could really get caught out there. Not that they would enforce it, but it's always worth considering. Let's just say
you're a good student.
Well, the thing is, if you have a product that breaks out and then you've got as seen on TV and this comes up and it says millions of units sold, why wouldn't they reach out and have a word with you? So hold on a minute, we said commercial use, you've sold millions, therefore we need to have a discussion.
I gotta say that I never had a case where somebody actually paid for the license and got in trouble because he took the wrong license. I'm waiting for that case, but it never happened.
I think they're there in place, and they know they're going to abuse them, but generally they're not going to be trolling you for that additional money unless it's extreme circumstances. Mian says, thank you for all of your answers, the answers to the questions. Great info, Yael. Thank you both. And Tiffany, Thams here. Hi, Amazon has received my products for more than 1 month. However, my products have not been available for sale so far. Is there any possibility that these products have been lost?
That happens a lot on Amazon, unfortunately. You should be fine. Open a case. Usually you have to do it more than once and bug them again and again, but you should be fine. You'll either get your money back, which would be very annoying, or they'll find the product. It sounds like they're lost.
Yes. Okay. Nevin says, currently I'm working with a few IP accelerator program law firms that are costing for comprehensive trademark search anywhere between $1,000 and $1,800. Does it cost this much?
So it depends again, the definition of comprehensive search. Some of the law firm tells you, I'm going to do a search on Google, and I'm going to include a search on the domain name, and I'm going to include a search in all countries of the world, etc., etc. That's not what we do. We focus on the USPTO. We spend an hour or two on your trademark, and that shouldn't cost $1,000 or $1,800. You know the problem. I just need to say it because that's very important. I think that these prices are the reason many of the law firms have a low success rate. The reason we have a high success rate is not because we're geniuses at all, is because we include the search in our cost. And so every trademark goes through a search. Now imagine a guy goes to this law firm, they tell him $1,000 for a search. So what will he say? He'll say, no, go ahead, I did a search, I know how to search. I'm going to be okay. He starts the process, and after 3 months, they get the office section saying it's rejected. And then the lawyer tells him, listen, the chances aren't high, 30, 40%. And then you just lose your money. So the search is super important. Invest in a search, not necessarily through those firms. Just find someone who could search the trademark at the beginning, and then you won't have to pay those amounts.
Cool. Where are we now? So Alan says, better to be safe than sorry, talking about the Shutterstock there. Is it allowed to take a picture of another brand product and use a lifestyle photo, i.e. a Samsung microphone with a case that I'm selling? Well, first of all, someone will probably take you out the game with a DMCA takedown notice, which Amazon have to respond to.
Yeah.
By law.
You need to see. It depends if you can see the logo of that phone, right?
But,
you
of course, it's breach of copyright. Yeah. So straight away, breach of copyright, that becomes under the Millennium DMCA Act. DMCA. Amazon has to respond to that. So if someone wants to get narky with you, they could literally.
I'm very impressed, Danny.
Well, no, I learned from the boss. I learned from you. It's stuff that we've spoke about before. What have we got here? Could you mention the law firm or name of agency on the IP Accelerator program to help and reach out?
Just text me and discuss it. I'll reply.
Yeah. So just on Facebook or?
Yeah, on Facebook or email.
Cool. What's that?
Moving on to the next mistake.
Yes. We've still got a few more here. 1 second. Mian says, now I'm just waiting for a good promotion for TM registration from used folks. A good promotion. If you can explain a bit more, that'd be great.
Discount probably.
Yeah, Miriam, come back. Can I just blur the brand name? Lol. So talking about what we were saying earlier on. This is a big question, so I'm covering up both of our faces here. So I'll make it quick. Hi, Danny. I have one account as an individual sole trader under the name where I'm selling FBA and FBM, but now my family is a company that can help me scale my business with new products. I'd like to ask for the advice. Would it be better to open a new account on the company's name or just transfer this existing individual account under the company name? The only worry I have is that Amazon has a way of rejecting new accounts. So if I can answer part of this and you do all the legalities around it. Amazon last year mentioned, now you can go ahead and set up an account. You don't have to go to, what's it called? Not raise a ticket. What's the performance team? You don't got to go to the performance. Explain yourself, but you do need to make sure this is separate companies, separate bank accounts, This has been going on like 18 months or so, but they verbally said that from last year. I always say is that if you can separate those businesses, in case you want to sell one, it's best to have two separate accounts, but just to ensure that they're set up and have the right procedures in place. Obviously check the notes, but from a legal point of view, Yale, and I think he's referring to the UK, what is his best way of doing this from a legal standpoint?
Yeah, the legal standpoint, here it depends. We need to understand if he wants to keep operating the individual account or he wants to drop it and then move to the other one. It's not completely clear, but there are two ways. One is to transfer the ownership of the existing account to the company, and the second one is opening a new company, a new account with the new corporation. By the way, these days, I see tons of rejections and suspensions about opening a new account. It's a kind of hell to open a new account these days. So what we do very often for the US, with my clients, with large clients, what I advise them is just go ahead and buy an account, like an empty account, spend, $3,000 on an empty account, and then change the ownership from the current owner to you so that you will not go through a verification, and then you can go and sell. It takes like a week and you can sell. You do not have to show all the documents and everything. So it's a kind of a way to go around all those documents and bureaucracy that Amazon makes you go through, and many fail, and they fail, and we don't know why. I mean, they present very often. I look at the documents are absolutely perfect, but Amazon rejects it. We don't know why. Payoneer's bank statement is lately rejected a lot. Like, 1 in 3 sellers present the Payoneer bank statement, and it's rejected. I'm not sure why. I'm discussing it with Amazon. So just saying that if you're going to open an account, and if you have a friend who wants to stop selling on Amazon, just take your friend's account and change the ownership.
Cool. Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of questions there. Navin says, come back and says, thank you. Right, so point number 3 of 5. What have we got?
Okay, so one of the things I always wanted to say is do not listen to the seller support when it comes to legal advice, okay?
Yeah.
So many times I've had sellers telling me, I'm selling this product. I asked Amazon, can I sell this product? Does it have a patent? And the guy at the seller support told me, it's okay. There's no patent. It's absolutely legal. Go ahead and sell the product. And then I ordered 1,000 units, and now I'm selling it. And now they tell me that it's infringing a patent, or it's just not allowed to sell those knives or whatever.
May I suggest to anyone listening out there is, if you can never use seller support for any support, do your best to avoid them, because you might have much more of a happier day. Obviously you have to use them, but like, try and use them as least as possible. Just knowledge up, basically.
Just common sense. I mean, legal stuff, they imagine who's on the seller support, and they shouldn't know about patent. They don't know anything about patent, but they really want to help you. So sometimes they give answers that are absolutely not true. I see that with the variations that I told you. They were telling my client, I have so many, we saw so many responses. Yes, it's absolutely fine. The variation is allowed and legal, and there's a rule that actually says it's not allowed. I mean, they're not on legal stuff, not on things of the terms of service. You are the owner of your account. You're responsible. At the end, when you go back to Amazon, I tell them, but guys, you told me that it's fine. You know what Amazon will say? Oh, sorry, we made a mistake back then, but it's not allowed. And then it's your problem. So please do not listen to everything they say. Just common sense.
Well, seller support's like getting a quote. You should get 3 of them and then pick the best one, shouldn't it? So moving on here, Nicola says, sorry, Nicola, or Nikolai, is it? Thanks, Yael. You answered my question. Tiffany's come back and says, preach, seller support is terrible at legal advice and account health advice as well. Point number 4, what we got?
Okay. Change of bank account details. I think every one of us at some point, we changed the bank account on Amazon, moving from, I don't know, Payoneer to Bank of America, from Payoneer to TransferWise, moving around, trying to get lower rates. Please, when you do that, please inform Amazon before you do the change, okay? Because we've had, I think, probably hundreds of cases over the years where it started like that. The seller calls me, I'm locked out from my account. I cannot log in. Something is happening. I'm retyping my password. And then they receive an email saying somebody hacked your account, something happened. Why? Because they changed the bank account, and Amazon thinks that somebody hacked or did, change the bank account to a vicious company wherever they can find it. So Amazon doesn't like those kind of changes. So if you're going to do it, please open a ticket with seller support. Tell them. And then open a ticket with the seller performance. Tell them. And then be on the line, if you want, with the seller support so that they'll do it or something like that. But do not do it without telling Amazon. This leads to suspensions in like 10% of the cases. So that's
Yeah, on that, just as a side note, I changed my card because the bank issued a new one because obviously the timeline had lapsed. You replace them every couple of years, right? So the other day on my US account, I just had my card on there, or replaced the card, and I got like half a dozen emails. One, you were suspended. The second one says some activity on your account. The third one says you need to verify this card, and then the fourth one was like, your verification is clear and it's fine. So it's just like my inbox just went down. So obviously there's a lot of automated emails, and so you have to be careful and read between the lines. And sometimes waiting 10 minutes makes a massive difference before the heart attack really kicks in.
Yeah. The key here is to be in touch with Amazon and listen to what they say in that sense, but tell them in advance. That's what you always need to remember. Any change that you do in your account, if it's the bank account, if it's a credit card, it's the exact same thing. It makes them the bank account is more serious because it's money that you receive, so they think that somebody is changing that. Credit card is charging, so no thief will change the credit card, right? So that's something that I just wanted to say, that whoever is listening should remember that, because they'll probably do it at some point.
Yeah, a lot of questions today. Probably a lot of these don't want to pay for any legal advice. We get loads in, like get maximized, get what you can.
Always.
Jamie says, currently I sell product, back to variations, by the way. Currently I sell product under the color name variation, and my titles and my variations black 1-pack, black 2-pack, blue 1-pack, blue 2-pack, etc. Should these variations go on? I'm sure he's saying go under the color size variation. Amazon has recently sent a listing policy violation, and the only reason I can think of why I'm receiving it is the warning is because I'm using the color name variation to describe the color and the pack size. So he's talking about doing the both there.
There's one thing that Amazon tells you as well, is that when it's too confusing and it's a crazy metrics, then that's also not allowed. So for example, if you have like color, size, and number, and it's all under the same listing, and the seller, the buyer is trying to play with the metrics, that's also something they do not want. So it often happens when they combine colors and multi-pack and things like that together.
Yeah. Miriam says, I'm currently a sole trader and will be changing to a limited company this month. Do I need to get a bank card under the company name to avoid issues?
So if you're in the US, it's fine. Usually they don't do anything when you change it, and the bank account remains under the previous one. But if you're in the UK, you want it to be similar. Generally speaking, you want it to be under the same name. But in the US, they're okay about it. In the UK, they're horrible about it.
Fem says, but the MasterCard just lasts for 4 or 5 years only. I'm not sure with MasterCard. I use the Visa debit. I think mine's every couple of years. I can't remember exactly, but roughly the idea is I had to change it because obviously the expiry date come up on the card for July, and so the bank sent me a new one, hence the changes, which is a pain in the ass when that happens, because you've got dozens. I've got about 100 places I have to go across 3 businesses. So if you add them all up, but one of them comes from one of the main businesses, is that all of those softwares and everything you have to go around and also Google AdWords accounts and all sorts. It just takes forever to update that, but that's a side.
By the way, did you know that an update of your bank account and an update of your credit card makes Amazon check your account for related accounts? Very often at the firm, it's, when we have a client that's suspended for related account, they tell me, I received the suspension from Amazon saying that I'm suspended because I'm related to another account that was suspended in the past. So I always ask, how did it start? Did you change your credit card or your bank? And say, yeah, I changed it yesterday. So that
I've got screen grabs. Yeah, I've got screen grabs, the back end system. This is 2 years ago. I did publish them, and we spoke about it on the podcast. I spoke with someone else about it, and we discussed these screen grabs. It's like a web to show all the relationship between you and different cards and stuff. This is all insider information from Amazon. There was a black hatter that published it on Facebook, and I grabbed the screen grab, and it physically shows you the connection between all the accounts. So it shows that where they join in the dots. I don't know if that's the same now, but that was someone's back-end admin system from Amazon in the US that become leaked and public.
Yeah, yeah. Many Amazon seller buy those kind of reports about their account to see what's going on. It's obviously illegal. Not going to talk about that.
Of course. So what is the fifth? We're on the fifth
next
one
one.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, I have more. There are so
Okay, then
many.
we keep going.
So yeah, we'll keep going.
Yeah.
So let's talk about invoices.
Okay.
Amazon, very often, if you're selling either private label and somebody complains that you're inauthentic, that happens sometimes,
Yeah.
or you're selling brands on Amazon and somebody complains, that happens once a week if you're a big seller. In those cases, Amazon will ask you for an invoice. Now, many private labels, they work with China, and from their supplier, they get what we call the commercial invoice, right? So there's a commercial invoice, entitled commercial invoice. That's something, and they usually submit it with Amazon, and then it's rejected. That Amazon does not accept commercial invoices. They only accept invoices. So when that happens, first of all, you need to ask your supplier to supply an invoice and not a commercial invoice. So the title needs to be invoice. Now, another thing, I mean, we know we've spoken a lot with account health. We know the list of things that Amazon look for with an invoice. And if it's not there, then it's rejected. So one of the things they want is, as I said, the title must be an invoice. Also, your details should on the invoice should be the exact details that you use to open your account. Okay, so you go on setting, legal info, legal entity, and then you'll see the details, your details with the address that should match 100%. Third point on that, there must be a website. So if your supplier sends you an invoice and there's no website and there's no phone number and there's no email of your supplier, then Amazon calls it an unverifiable supplier. So they'll reject it. So they want to see, even an Alibaba website is fine. So you can put a link to Alibaba. You should put your supplier, should put the name of your supplier and everything. And make sure that you do not do the changes. So never, ever change an invoice you received. Amazon has tools to see if an invoice was manipulated. And if you did that, then you'll be out of Amazon within a second. And you can never come back. Like with Amazon, forging an invoice, manipulating an invoice is the worst thing that can happen. So never change an invoice yourself. If the invoice is not good, then ask your supplier to change that invoice. If you can, please scan it. Do not send it as a PDF. I like to like print them and then scan them again. That also helps. So we said a website, your details on it, invoice, and then make sure the items are there and they're very clear so that Amazon can see, okay, these are the products. This is the supplier. I can find it on Google. There's a phone number I can call. Here are the details. Okay, go ahead. You're accepted. Okay, so remember that next time you're asked to provide invoice. And also something about forged invoices. When you want, I have a lot of clients that want to be ungated for a certain category. So for example, they want to sell Nike, they want to sell another brand, or they want to sell in a category that is closed, like food or cosmetics used to be closed. So what do? Some of them have suppliers, and then they supply it to Amazon, and then sometimes Amazon rejects it because it doesn't have the things that I just said. And then they give up, and then they search on Google how to ungate a category. And then there's a great service, costs $400, and it's 100% verified, 100%. You get your money back if you don't get it, etc., etc. What do those service providers do? Okay, so if you work with them and then they tell you, okay, show us your invoices, and then they guide you with your invoices, and then you submit it, that is one thing, and that's great. If you take a consultant that gives you an invoice, okay, where you never got the product, you never ordered the product, it's obviously a fake invoice, never ever submit that to Amazon. I had several cases who went to arbitration. Amazon showed, although the client was right, Amazon showed that the client has forged invoices. He didn't know. He just used those services. They showed that he forged invoices, and then at that point he lost the case. We knew he would lose the case. You show to the judge that he's a fraud. How can you win a case like that? So please remember, that's your account, that's your business, that's your life. You do not want, in real life, would you go and show a...
Do you know why that is? Because that's manual verification. They phone up the factory. They've done it to me in the UK when I had to get ungated a few years ago, 3 years, 2.5 years ago now. And they literally phoned them and had the conversation. Do you know Mr. McMillan? This is the brand name. This is the order that he's placed. Can we verify this as a PO? Did this order take place? There was on there for like 2 or 3 minutes, and it's all manual verification. So,
yeah. They call, and then if you forge the invoice, they'll say, no, we don't know any Danny McMillan. No, the number that you gave us for that invoice goes to Yael Kabili. So this is where they caught you. So they have technologies that find about that can find about forging in for manipulation of invoices, but they also do it manually. So they mix the two. They call and they use their tools.
Yeah. Good question from her. We received an email from Amazon stating that in September we'll display our business address, which I think is a great idea. Do you see any issues with it if I change my business address to the UPS mailbox, as long as I keep my legal entity address the same, the real LLC address?
Yeah. So I'll tell you where it matters. If you change your legal entity, you change your address everywhere to this mailbox that you have, then it must match. It will. Let's say tomorrow they will tell you, we want to verify your account. You did something. You want to make sure you're okay. When they verify your account, they're going to tell you, please provide bank statement, please provide a utility bill, please provide this and that and that. And they will require that the address will be the same. So if on your utility bill you have a different address, then you will not pass the verification. So the address does matter. It also matters on the invoices, as I said earlier. When you buy from a supplier, everything must match. Everything should also match, should always match. So you could potentially do that now, but remember that if for some reason in the future Amazon wants to verify your account, you'll have problems. I assume that you will not have documentation with that address, so it may not pass.
Cool. 10 minutes and counting down. What else do we have on the radar?
Okay, so just moving to a different topic that I also deal a lot with, the exits. 2 mistakes that we see very often with exits, and it's something that I think today probably 80% or 90% of the sellers are thinking about an exit at some point. So one of the mistakes that we're seeing is going for the selling process without being prepared. So we had several cases where during the process, we found a buyer, we negotiated, there was an LOI and everything. And at that point, the seller suddenly remembered that last year he had a patent issue over that product. Or he suddenly remembers that his trademark is not registered. He started doing it, but there was a problem during the process, so he left it. So this is something that you want to get organized before you start the process, because you can lose the buyer, you can lose the entire deal, and usually it doesn't take a lot of time. So to get prepared, I would say get your legal in order. So make sure the IP is fine, you have the trademark. If you want to sell it, you should also do a trademark in China. That's something we've discussed together many times. Make sure that you spoke with your tax consultant. We had a case where the seller really wanted a high multiple. After a while, we got him the high multiple that he wanted, the asking price, And then he said, okay, thank you very much. I'm going to speak with my tax consultant to see how much is left for me after the deal. And then he went to consult, and then he went to another one. It took him a month to come back. And then the buyer said, listen, this guy is not,
he's not serious. Yeah, he wants to get it over the line.
I'm not proceeding with the deal. Something is wrong here. So, so you want to be prepared.
Do you mind me asking what was wrong? Because it took him a month. Why did it take him a month? Not the details, because that's confidential.
Yeah.
But why did it take a month? Is it because he didn't like the answers?
No, yeah, because there are several structures usually with tax. So, you know, in most countries, it really depends on the country. But in many countries, if you just go for the default, then the tax could go up to 50%.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the structure you have there, and the legal direction that you're going with your tax consultant. So very often you go and see several opinions. That's something that actually, I mean, that's something that I advise to do. And by the way, going back to not doing mistakes, if you start a new business now, let's say you sold your business, many of the guys that sold the business, now when they start the business, they go and speak with the tax attorney before they open the account. And they say, listen, I want to sell on Amazon. I want to sell the business in 2-3 years. What's the best way in my country? How should I be incorporated? Should I be incorporated? Should it be an LLC? Should it be an LTD?
Not just that entrepreneurial relief and stuff like that. You need to make sure you're qualified and what it is and how that kind of pans out in the early days as well, because you can get hit heavy on the back end.
Yeah. So for that, so that's something that you should do at the beginning. But if you haven't done that, then at least do that before you start a process. Another mistake that we're seeing, not that often, but sometimes, is to change your behavior because of the sales. So many sellers, you know, because they know they're going to sell the business, they're not launching everything anymore. They're cutting on cost on the inventory. And then the business starts going down. We had a case where during the process, the seller was feeling, he was already tired before, but he felt tired and he stopped, you know, maintaining the account. He didn't launch new product, and the account went down when we started the process. And most of the buyers said, listen, that's an account that's going down. It
needs to go up, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean,
I'm not buying an account that is going down. They want a successful account.
Yeah, I mean, we work openly with our clients at the agency. I always said I want to see entrepreneurs take money off the table. So when you're ready to sell, let us know. We can help you, because we have to have a strategy for your PPC, because you've got to reduce your cost, or make sure you retain profit, your discretionary earning, all those things have got to be taken into consideration. So we've had, one is about to pop, got one going in 2 weeks or so, and one exited earlier in the year. But it was interesting you saying about launching new products. Sometimes it's safe not to launch new products as long as the current product sales are not going down as well, because the dangers of launching new products is the risk. If you have a few failures, then you're not that you're going to hide them, but then that can be tricky with the buyer. So it's the timing.
I'm saying do what you're usually doing. So some of the sellers, they grow by launching new products. Some of the sellers, they grow by maintaining those and just launching variations. It really depends on your strategy. Some of them grow by going to Europe.
But resting on your laurels.
Do not change your strategy because you're selling, because the account, we will see it in the account, and then nobody will want your account, bottom line.
Yeah, no, exactly. One more before we go.
Yeah, okay, last one. First sale doctrine. I think we spoke about it a little. A common mistake on Amazon is that you cannot sell brands if you haven't received an authorization from the brand to sell it. That's absolutely not true. The first sale doctrine says that if you bought it from a supplier, first of all, it says if the goods are genuine, okay, and they're not fake, and you bought it from the brand or from a distributor of the brand, then you're not infringing any rights. Now, that's the legal part, okay? Why is it called first sale doctrine? Because the brand Nike sold it once, they got money, right, for that sale. So there was a first sale. Now you can sell it, continuing to sell it and resell it. So it's not an infringement to sell a brand on Amazon or wherever, on eBay or on your website, as long as you bought it from someone and that sells the original goods. The problem on Amazon, of course, is the proof. So if Amazon tells you, show me your invoices, and then you show like a long chain of invoices, I bought it from him, he bought it from him, he bought it from him, and this is the brand. So if there's a very long chain, then Amazon probably will suspend you because they don't believe you that it's original.
Makes sense. Cool. What is the best way that people can reach you?
On Facebook, Yael Kabili, or by email, yael@e-kabili.com, or WhatsApp, or Telegram, or whatever.
Carrier pigeon, and yeah. Cool. Okay. Thank you for coming on today, Yael. Guys, thank you very much. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be doing an in-depth. I'll let you know more of the details tomorrow, 4 p.m. BST. Thank you for your time. Hope your family is safe. No worries. And anyone, you've hit a reoccurrence, haven't you, in Israel? So there's a new lockdown coming. So everyone out there on the reoccurrence, on the new lockdown, stay safe, stay home. The others, behave yourself. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, Danny.